Four big banks are set to plead guilty to rigging the foreign currency exchange market. Citigroup, JP Chase, Barclays, and Royal Bank of Scotland are prepared to plead guilty to felony charges from the U.S. Department of Justice. However, this has less to do with a moral awakening, like we made a mistake, than it is to limit the damage. We've got Dick Bove, Vice President of Equity Research at Rafferty Capital Markets, to tell us a little bit more on what the banks are pleading guilty to. Dick, welcome back to Arise Xchange. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
All right, this is a little bit complicated, so let's just first talk about what the banks were accused of doing with currency on the foreign exchange markets.
Well, basically, they were accused of basically colluding with each other, and in order to set prices for various, transactions on financial instruments, and in the process making a profit for themselves. I think that, simplistically is exactly what happened.
And when you look at that JP Chase, for example, how far up the food chain does this go? Somebody, I take it, knows this is illegal.
Well, that's the point. I don't think it goes very far up the food channel. To assume that because some traders and maybe the gentleman who supervises those traders were aware that they were doing something that was inappropriate or incorrect is undoubtedly true. That's what happened. But to assume that it went up to the head of a major division or head of a large part of the company, I think would be a big mistake, because in the case of both of these companies, they are so huge and their revenue sources are so diverse that they're not going to risk the whole company, for some trading activity, at the bottom level. Remember, these traders get paid a bonus based upon the amount of money they make for the bank, and therefore, if they can rig the market to benefit themselves, apparently they will. What the bank did that was wrong is it did not have controls in effect that would tell them that this was happening so that they could stop it.
And I was going to ask you about that. We keep hearing bank controls, and it seems like bank controls are reactionary, meaning they wait for something to happen, then they put that in place. Is there a better way of attacking this, or do they sort of have to find out what could go wrong first?
Unfortunately, when you have 250,000 people working, in an institution, and you have, normal animal spirits operating, you're going to find that it's very difficult to find every illegal activity or everything that's being done improper, fast enough to stop it so that you don't run into these types of problems. What I think is really upsetting, to people who may look at this thing, forgetting the fact that they want to attack banks, is there were people who did things wrong, and those people aren't being accused of anything.
I was going to ask you that. You can't put a bank in jail. These are felony charges. These aren't civil charges. It's a criminal complaint. But you can't put a bank in jail. You can only take away some money from a corporation. But people are not being accused?
That's right. In other words, in all of these cases, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars of fines. There were individuals who made specific decisions to do things that either were criminal or inappropriate, but certainly were wrong. None of those people have been accused of anything. None of those people are going to jail. None of those people are paying any fines. Most of those people, I would assume, are still working in some role in Wall Street. The people who are paying for this are the people who did nothing, i.e. the shareholders of Bank of America or JP
and maybe bank customers. There's UBS is named in this complaint. UBS has cut a deal, I understand, with the Department of Justice.
Yeah, well, that's another one of the things that are a little bit questionable, and that is that, the United States government has made a series of agreements with a variety of banks, right? They made agreements with J.P. Morgan over the Bear Stearns acquisition. They made agreements concerning other, deals that were done. They made a deal with UBS that if you tell us everything you know about what's going on, we won't prosecute you. And they've broken all these deals. In other words, there's no deal that a bank has made with the U.S. government that the U.S. government is willing to say, we made an agreement, we're going to stand behind it. The U.S. government is not standing behind any of these agreements.
Okay, Dick Bove, Vice President of Equity Research at Rafferty Capital Markets. Thank you.
Thank you.